administration is a beneficiary of the strong support of Nigerian women.
President Muhammadu Buhari reaffirms commitment of his administration towards supporting and accelerating genuine efforts at achieving gender equity in the country.
The federal government will continue to engage all stakeholders to end open defecation in Nigeria.
Vice President harps on need to end open defecation.
The gift ship eliminates the known difficulties because it creates additional value by expanding and upgrading the VC ship for better reach.
And National Health Insurance Scheme launches gift ship. Hello there, welcome to NTA Network News. I am Joseph Johnson. Dr. Nuguyemi joins us from Lagos, while Mohammed Ibrahim will join us a little later from Maiduguri. Well, let's start in the State House because President Muhammadu Buhari has reaffirmed the commitment of his administration towards supporting and accelerating genuine efforts at achieving gender equity in the country. Consequently, the 35% national gender policy will not only be met, but exceeded across key decision-making roles in government. The President was speaking at an audience with a group of Nigerian women representatives on a solidarity visit. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The Nigerian women representatives, led by the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talen, were in the State House to confer on President Muhammadu Buhari as Special Champion of Women, Children and the Vulnerable, the He for She Award of Excellence in appreciation of his commitment towards moving women into the mainstream of governance.
Mr. President, we love you and we pray that you will continue to remember Nigerian women in all facets of life.
I have one at home.
Yes.
The women used the opportunity to also appreciate the president for promptly responding to the spike in gender-based violence in the wake of the coronavirus lockdown, as well as approving 45% of the SMSE funds exclusively for women and 5% for other vulnerable groups. They, however, made a case for certain considerations by government in recognition of the positive role women played and continue to play in the sustenance of the next level agenda.
But Mr. President should address the issue of quota and affirmative action in the appointment of women in public offices. 2. Direct that 1/3 of all elective positions be reserved only to be contested by women in the party structure as applicable in many of the African countries.
And I say thank you, sir, for all you have done for us women. Thank you for your great stride in the country. You have done very well. It is left for others to do their bits.
President Muhammadu Buhari said his administration is not unmindful of the value Nigerian women bring to the society, especially when supported and given a voice, as displayed in 2015 when they took a bold and decisive step that resulted in the polls speaking in favor of the change agenda.
This administration is a beneficiary of the strong support of Nigerian women. And I truly thank you all for the display of resilience throughout our journey. I want to assure you that this administration remains resolute to not only meet 25% national gender policy, but to exceed it across key decision-making roles in the government. Let me use this opportunity to again reaffirm my commitment to end child marriage, boost girl-child education, and to ensure that mothers of today and tomorrow are educated, encouraged, and empowered across the country.
The president also promised to show his administration's commitment at the global level towards bringing an end to the exponential rise in violence against women and girls by supporting African Union Chairman's call for relevant treaty to be decided at the forthcoming AU summit in February next year.
Your visit here comes in the wake of growing youth restiveness, which engulfed parts of the country in the last few weeks. As mothers of Nigeria, you play a critical role in bringing about lasting peace. I urge you to engage with our children and youth on the need for dialogue that will yield better understanding going forward. Our youth remain our most treasured asset, and it is our collective responsibility to present to them a pathway to realizing their huge potential.
President Buhari described as delightful that his administration's zero tolerance for gender-based violence, as well as declaring a state of emergency on that, has placed Nigeria ahead in providing support for survivors and bringing perpetrators to book. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the President of the Senate and Speaker, House of Representatives, have advocated inclusion of more women in governance. This was at a two-day training and advocacy workshop for federal and state female lawmakers on gender-responsive legislation in Nigeria. Johnny Aku has more.
Despite the pride of place women occupy, they are mostly excluded in governance, and this situation makes it difficult for them to contribute their quota to nation building. To change the narrative, the female lawmakers are using the program put together by the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, the United Nations Women and other partners to amplify their voice.
We have to go by a true legislative way. There has to be concerted effort from the government, from the executive to say, you have to do it this way. I want to see a situation where we will have like an executive order or executive bill that will mandate it for us to have an actual legislation to that effect. We need to assist one another in trying to rise up to specific positions in elective offices in Nigeria.
Women incidentally exist in an environment that is still dominated by men, leading us to the need to converse for improved representation of the women folk.
These and others underscore the importance of this capacity building workshop, also identifying areas of legislative intervention with regard to improving women's political participation.
The two-day capacity building workshop is expected to arouse the consciousness in women to participate actively in policy and decision-making processes. John Yaku, NTA News.
The federal government says Nigeria will encourage and support every move that will enhance economic cooperation with the Republic of Algeria. President Muhammadu Buhari gave the assurance while receiving a special envoy of the Algerian president. State House correspondent Adamu Sama reports that the president also granted audience to the Secretary General of African Petroleum Producers Organization.
The Algerian envoy, who is the North African country's foreign minister, Sabri Boukadoum, who brought a special message from his president, described Nigeria as the pillar of Africa. The message, he said, is geared towards enhancing consultations on what can be done together between Nigeria and Algeria. For President Muhammadu Buhari, projects like the Trans-Saharan Road, international gas pipeline, and other areas of economic cooperation would be given adequate attention for the good of the two countries and their peoples. The president stressed the need for peace, tranquility, and security in African countries, saying unless the environment is secured, it can't be managed effectively. In a similar development, President Buhari welcomed the decision of the African Petroleum Producers Organization to site the headquarters of the African Energy Investment Corporation in Abuja. Exchanging views with the Secretary General of the organization, Nigeria's Dr. Umar Farouk, the president pledged full support of the country in ensuring the successful takeoff of the project. He said the peculiarities of the challenges facing African oil producers require them to come together under the association to share experiences and solve their problems collectively. The president said the growing clamor for a reduction in the use of fossil fuels notwithstanding, countries like Nigeria needs to produce more oil to feed the petrochemical industry and create jobs. President Buhari used the opportunity to urge the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, to consider the weight of the responsibility of Nigeria with 200 million people and severe deficit in infrastructure when sharing oil production cut. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, informed the President that a proposed energy investment cooperation to be started in Abuja will start with $1 billion from the Afro-Exim Bank and is expected to bring employment and other benefits to Nigeria. The Secretary General of the African Petroleum Producers Organization, Dr. Umar Farouk, expressed the hope that members of the organization will surmount the challenges posed by COVID-19, as well as that of receding fossil fuel use as a result of the climate change treaties signed by member states and other nations. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In the meantime, Nigeria and Algeria are working out strategies of reaching new heights to achieve the 50-year vision of an Africa that Africans want in terms of prosperity and more modest contributions to growth from services, agriculture and construction. Usman Ali reports that 50 bilateral agreements preoccupied a meeting between Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs and his Algerian counterpart.
Africa's Agenda 2063, a big deal, and that brought together these ministers of key countries in the continent, Nigeria in the west and Algeria in the north. Having their economy on hydrocarbon export means they need to modify their relations now that emerging global uncertainties like the coronavirus must be demystified. Peace and security in Africa, terrorism and political tensions were also part of the agenda here.
We strategize together and make sure that we're on the same page. Otherwise, it will be difficult to achieve significant progress on the continent without that. And then also in the larger world at the multilateral level, the United Nations and other international organizations, we also have and always seek to maintain that solidarity between the two of us and our values. We have the same values and the same world view and vision.
We need Nigeria, as it did in the past for the independences. We have to continue this role. Nigeria should continue this role. And it's working together, hand in hand. It's not dominating or trying to dominate when you say, yes, of course, Nigeria is.
They say diplomatic relations between Algeria and Nigeria turns to be special in view of the strategic development interests each of the countries here occupy in the global space. In Abuja, Usman Aliyu, NTA News.
As the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Treaty comes into force January 2021, Vice President Yemi OSINBAJO says Nigerian businesses and the entire private sector have to become conversant and knowledgeable with the rules, as these would be required so as to benefit maximally from the treaty. Vice President OSINBAJO stated this at the opening session of the 52nd Annual National Conference of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, themed Nigeria and Manpower Preparedness for the African Continental Free Trade Area. Given the size of the economy, the Vice President said it was clear that Nigeria must play a leading role in the harmonization and integration of border management, regulatory cooperation, and the formalization of informal cross-border trade in the continent. The Vice President assured that aside prioritizing trade negotiations, the Buhari administration is also paying attention to the agreement on free movement of persons. With the centrality of good sanitation and hygiene to other sectors of the society, Nigeria must scale up effort and expand the dragnet of collaboration to make the country free of open defecation and attain the 2025 target. Vice President Yemi OSINBAJO was encouraging stakeholders as the country commemorates the first anniversary of the national campaign against open defecation, tagged Clean Nigeria, Use the Toilet. WASH correspondent Musbah Dan Wahab reports.
the logo of the Clean Nigeria End Open Defecation campaign.
November 19, 2019 was the official expression of commitments to end the practice of 47 million Nigerians that has adversely put Nigeria in global sports, open defecation. A year later, Vice President Professor Yemi OSINBAJO again continues from where he left off the national campaign. COVID-19 slowdown notwithstanding, it's got a marginal progress to report as 22 more LGAs have cleaned up their terrains of open defecation, and the competition is on course amongst the states to attain the national target of 2025, 5 years ahead of a sustainable development agenda.
We reiterate commitment to support subnational level initiatives towards ending open defecation and improving access to wash services for the populace. To this end, I wish to commend state governments who have taken the initiative to develop their state-specific action plans for the wash sector, with a declaration of a state of emergency.
In recognition of their commitment, the ODF local government areas will be prioritized for water supply interventions under PWASH in accordance with the established program.
We are partnering with NYSC.
Still on the line to deliver its promise of getting 2 million Nigerians in diaspora to build a toilet each in the country, the organized private sector in WASH has again launched a campaign tagged Flush It to support the drive. The certified open defecation-free LGAs were honored, and NTA is one of the organizations recognized for their role in the national campaign.
Any program the government brings up for the benefit of the populace, NTA is always at the forefront of propagation, of enlightenment and promotion.
We are the only state that has 10 local governments that will declare open cash.
Marginal achievements, albeit, and champions made in the campaign against open defecation in Nigeria. However, the country remains the world capital of this practice. And so, there is a need for a re-energized commitment by stakeholders to confine the unwanted reputation in the Soke way. In Abuja, Muspal and Wahab, NT News.
In pursuance of its statutory mandate to provide financial access for quality health care for all Nigerians, the National Health Insurance Scheme has launched a group, individual and family social insurance program, GiveShip. Elizabeth Mori reports that the scheme is geared towards the attainment of universal health care coverage for all.
As the federal government works to attain SDG 3 Target 8 before 2030, Nigerians are soon to enjoy a wider coverage for health insurance in the country. This follows the launching of a new service known as GiveShip. The group Individual and Family Social Insurance Program has been designed to provide coverage opportunity to Nigerians to be taken up and paid for by groups, individuals and families not covered by NHIS platforms. This initiative, the Minister of Health says it is an outcome of far-reaching reforms within the NHIS to significantly increase the fiscal space for healthcare services.
The GiveShip eliminates the known difficulties because it creates additional value by expanding and upgrading the VC ship for better reach.
The National Health Insurance Authority Act. It won't be NHIS again, it will be NHIA, but it's an authority that will cover all schemes.
The program is geared towards the actualization of the presidential mandate to revitalize the health insurance scheme.
Some of the appealing features of this program include the inbuilt mechanism to guard against moral hazard, to guard against adverse selection, as well as allowing room for organizations and people in diaspora to contribute their quota towards attainment of universal health coverage.
The new service will leverage on the ENHIS framework, which has been on the drawing board for more than a decade. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
quite a very laudable development there, isn't it? Well, let's pick up on that and talk a bit more, as I have with me in the studio Executive Secretary NHIS Mohammed Nasser Sambu. You're welcome to NTA Network News.
Well, thank you, sir.
Like I said, it's quite an interesting development. Looks like there is hope for the vulnerable in the society. But how will this trickle down, this latest initiative, how will it trickle down to those at the grassroots?
Thank you very much. The National Health Insurance Scheme is aiming at attainment of universal health coverage, where everybody in Nigeria will have access to quality health care in line with President Muhammadu Buhari mandate of attainment of universal health coverage and in line with Sustainable Development Goals agenda. Under the National Health Insurance Scheme, we have many packages. There is a package for the formal sector, where the employees of private and public sector will automatically get into the health insurance as it is currently being practiced. For those who are not within the formal employment, there are people that have ability to pay to get into the National Health Insurance Scheme, pay premium and have access to services. And there are people that might not have access to having enough resources to pay for it. So this gift ship is expansion of NHIS program, whereby it can accommodate individuals, it can accommodate groups, and it can accommodate family. As an individual, you can come and pay premium to get the services. You can come as a family to pay premium and get services, or you can come as a group of people binded by one binding force to come and pay contribution and be entitled to the services to be rendered by the National Health Insurance Scheme.
Yeah, I was just speaking with the reporter a little earlier before coming into the studio. I just want to understand, does it imply that I can, see someone who actually needs, Medicare, and I can add the person to, if I am, of course, on the scheme, the NHIS, he or she can access health care using my own, what do you call it?
Premium.
Yes, my premium, or, I am registered. You're on the NHIS. So can that be realized?
Yeah, in a way, that is the philosophy.
Okay.
Whereby if those who can have access, can afford, can get to pay the premium and get services from it, they can also bring those who cannot pay. For example, this new program has an opportunity for you and me to go back to our communities and say that we want to cover 3 people, 5 people, 10 people, and it has a role whereby an international organization can come and say, we want to cover this group of people and we'll pay premium for them. And we have opportunity whereby even group in the mosque or in the churches, they can come and pay premium on behalf of their members and be entitled to services. It also has a room for people in diaspora to signify some of their relatives, kith and kin, and pay premium for them and get services.
Is that, would you say that's the, because we understand that it's broken down into levels. Is what you just explained, are they the levels? Could you just talk us through the different levels?
Yes, there are 3 levels.
Okay.
We call it gift ship, GIF, group, individual and family. This program is actually a reform of the former program that is called Voluntary Social Health Insurance or Vital Health Social Health Insurance, where individuals come to the National Health Insurance Scheme, pay 15,000 and get the range of services provided by the National Health Insurance Scheme. But unfortunately, the program was terribly abused. It has been bedeviled by what we call moral hazards. Moral hazard and adverse selection. Adverse selection is when you know that you are a high risk. For example, a pregnant woman who knows that she is going to have a cesarean section. She will register today knowing fully that in 2 weeks she will get cesarean section and pay 15,000. After 2 weeks she will be operated upon and she disappears. and the cost of the operation might be too high, but she will benefit on this affair. So there were a lot of complaints, and the program was getting collapsed. So we have to resuscitate and rejuvenate it. In this arrangement, you cannot come alone. You will come in group of 3. As an individual, you come, you pay for 3 people.
Okay.
2 other people, 2 other dependents, biologically dependent plus you.
Yes.
So you will pay 45,000. If you decide to say you alone, you will be in it, you pay 45,000. If you come with 2 other people, you pay still 45,000. There is some level of cross-subsidization in that arrangement. Then as a family, the second level, you come as a family. Yourself, your wife, and 2 additional biological dependents.
Yes.
So you pay 60,000, 15,000 naira each per annum.
Okay.
So you are entitled to cover with these 3 dependents of yours. Beyond that, up to the level of 9 members of the family, from 4 to 9. So these are the family.
All right.
Beyond that, you have a group. Any social group of people that are up to 10 can come with a fee of 15,000 naira and join the scheme simultaneously under that arrangement. So there is a room for an individual 45,000, a family at the rate of 60,000, but there is additional 15,000 for every. From the 4th family, you continue to increase the payment by 15,000.
Okay.
Similarly for the group.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm afraid we're running out of time, but you've done justice to the questions already, and thank you for explaining all that.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. So I've been speaking with Executive Secretary NHIS Mohammed Nasir Sambo. Let's just take some messages now. Stay with us. More news shortly.
We dey catchy feelings, we dey cry.
Amaka, ani kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀?
Try. If you do better thing, you go thrive, mama.
Leave that house now. Amaka. Stay where you are. No. You are going nowhere. Amaka!
Blockbuster movies like this, series and much more. Download the AIRTEL TV app.
Mr. Announcer, you know tell them say this film is still there on top of fire. And you say me, we still the shoot, so.
Download the AIRTEL TV app from Apple and Android Play Store. AIRTEL TV by AIRTEL, the smartphone network.
Everybody listen up. Let me tell you something. Better service don't lie. Don't just sit down and look. Star 990 hash. Now it be the code. To send money, it done days. Anywhere you get, no long story. This is your bank. Now you can do more. 9 PSB. Now it be the way. Star 990.
Introducing 9PSB. Open an account right away with your phone number and instantly start to send and receive money by dialing star 990 hash. You can even pay your bills and also enjoy more opportunities to get your cash back through any of our nationwide agents near you.
Stop, it's Kenny! Kenny, can you please take a picture with us? Tell please, can you sing for us?
You can FaceTime me on the go. Baby, I got you. No matter where you dey, oh baby. You can reach me overseas, my dear. Whether na Ghana, Lagos, Nigeria, you can call me on my telephone line. You know I'm always online. Only by me, I go anywhere.
Berekete. Activate a new Glow SIM and get 600 Naira free credit, plus 700% bonus on every recharge, and up to 100% bonus on data plans. Dial *777# Glow.
Mommy is back!
Guess what's inside?
Chocolate. Biscuit.
Our new toothpaste, Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection.
Why are we changing our toothpaste?
Because with Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection, I can be sure your teeth are cavity-free.
Cavity? What cavity?
Let me show you.
Most toothaches are caused by tooth holes called cavities. When you brush daily with Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection, its expert formula locks natural calcium in our teeth and helps protect them from cavity.
It also has natural mint for minty fresh breath every day.
Mom, can I eat chocolates now?
As long as you brush with Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection.
Colgate is the world's most chosen toothpaste.
Colgate locks calcium in.
Keeps cavities out!
Recommended by the Nigerian Dental Association.
I want to go. Don't touch me. I will get you arrested.
Carefully. Very, very witty.
Liverpool are unstoppable at home, but will they carry that form on the road against the Seagulls of Brighton? This Saturday, it's Brighton versus Liverpool on the Premier League Live, showing on the NTA network from 1 p.m.
The Premier League Live is brought to you by Access Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton Tea, and Close Up.
You're still watching NTA Network News with me, Joseph Johnson. The Ondo State government and its major partners have appealed to the people of Ayetoro, a riverine community in the state, that the ocean surge ravaging parts of the area will soon be put to check. The State Commissioner for Environment, Funsho Esson, stated this while reacting to the extent of damage to property and other means of livelihood caused by the sea incursion in Ayetoro community. Olubukola Aduo reports.
Ayetoro, an island community in the Ilaje local government area of Ondo State, was founded in 1947. Ayetoro has been in the news lately as a troubled town of about 12,000 people ravaged by a rampaging Atlantic Ocean that has almost eaten up about 3/4 of the community.
The devastating effect is happening almost every day.
The streets of the community are now filled with debris from the ocean that has destroyed homes, businesses, and schools. The structure of the school is what gives the community a major concern, and that is why elders of the town are appealing for help.
SOS, save our soul.
We have nowhere to go. We have no boats. We have nothing.
Ondo State government says a number of steps have been taken in conjunction with the federal government and relevant international institutions to rescue Ayetoro and its people from further destruction by the ocean.
The state government have been able to secure some funds through the intervention of the World Bank, and that the money, even though it's not enough, that the state government is going to support, and the federal government is willing to do so also.
The residents expressed hope that the various efforts being made by the government will yield positive results. From Ayetoro in Ilaje local government area of Ondo State, Olubukola Aduwo, NTA News.
The Senate Committee on the Independent National Electoral Commission has screened the presidential nominee for the chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the nominee is optimistic of an improved general elections in 2023, as he emphasized that the Electoral Commission will deepen the use of technology in Nigeria's electoral process.
A solidarity visit to the National Assembly by a group just a few hours to the commencement of the screening of Professor Mahmood Yakubu by the Senate as INEC chairman for a second term. His reappointment was the reason for the group's visit, describing it as the right choice by President Muhammadu Buhari as they called on the Senate to take cognizance of the achievements of the INEC chairman nominee.
Ever since Professor Mahmood Yakubu came into INEC, there have been a lot of reforms. If not for anything, consider electronic transmission, electronic voting, and transmission of results from polling unit to central server.
1 hour later, Professor Mahmood was at the Senate Committee on INEC to defend his reappointment for a final term of 5 years. Having reeled out some of the achievements of the commission under his watch, the University of Oxford research scholar listed his plans going forward and how the National Assembly can assist, such as the quick passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill by the first quarter of 2021.
Because we know there are so many other lingering problems that need to be done. What do you intend to do before you finally go out from the election institution?
But the key to success is the amendment to the electoral legal framework. And I'm confident that the Senate and the House will work expeditiously.
He observed that the postponement of the 2019 general election was the most challenging moment in his first term. The committee harped on the need for a review of political parties' registration process and improvement of the welfare of staff of the commission to avoid inducement.
These are the people that goes for election, and they could easily be motivated during election days. But if their welfare is improved, I'm sure they will be strong and continue to service well.
Professor Abdullahi Abduzuru was also screened as INEC National Commissioner representing the Northwest. He replaces Abubakar Ahmed Nahuche, who resigned from the position. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
And President of the Senate Ahmad Lawan has granted audience to the South African High Commissioner to Nigeria, where they resolved to strengthen old institutions and establish new ones that will improve trade and socio-cultural relations of both countries. Senator Lawan observed that the cooperation of Nigeria and South Africa is very significant to the progress of the continent and therefore should not be taken for granted. He emphasized the importance of reinvigorating Nigeria's South Africa Binational Commission.
National Commission is a very good thing for us to promote that, because we shouldn't take anything for granted. We should have more avenues to engage so that we don't allow any gap, because it's when you have gaps that you sometimes run into trouble of not understanding what your brother is doing or what he is saying.
But we would like to ensure that there is a kind of personal touch to the relationship, because at the end of the day, if people are able to pick up the phone and talk to each other immediately, an issue arises, or when there are issues that they need to consult on, it's very, very critical for the leadership of the African Union.
Let's turn to Lagos now, and here is Dotun with the news. Dotun.
Thank you, Joseph. As Lagos State continues to witness alarming increase in sexual and gender-based violence, wife of Lagos State Governor Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu has pledged her commitment to partnering with her counterparts across the nation under the umbrella of the Nigeria Governor's Wives Forum in tackling the menace. Nosa Usla has the details.
The most common acts of violence against women in Nigeria include sexual harassment, physical violence, harmful traditional practices, emotional and psychological violence, socio-economic violence, and violence against non-combatant women in conflict situation. The wife of the Lagos State Governor, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu frowned at the increasing rate of rape cases amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
Rape cases recorded, remember the word recorded, 717. Cases conclusively investigated and charged to court, 631. That's for Nigeria. Cases still being investigated, then this statistics was from January to May 2020, 55.
Dr. Sanwo-Olu assured residents that the state government will continue to implement various initiatives aimed at stamping out the heinous crime of gender-based violence in the state, especially against women and children.
There is really something important about this gender-based violence. There is need to pay more attention to what is happening, and we're creating more awareness in the community. And you realize the ripple effect of that is that more people are now having more courage to come out and discuss one or two things.
The Advocacy Week will be used to enlighten and educate the people, especially at the grassroots, build on successes recorded in the state, and fashion out strategies to further round up responses and care for victims. In Lagos, Nusa, Usula, NTA News.
The Bankers Committee and the Central Bank of Nigeria, under the aegis of COVID, have expended 43 billion naira in providing support to the federal government to improve testing capacity and management of COVID-19 pandemic in the country. Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele, at a media briefing in Lagos, said COVID, in response to the End SARS protest, will provide 100 billion naira to procure equipment and rehabilitate 44 destroyed police stations in affected states. Abolade Salami reports.
COVID set up by the Bankers Committee, Central Bank of Nigeria, deposit money banks, and private sector is to assist in raising capital in support of the federal government to address global health crisis. So far, the committee has raised the sum of 39 billion naira from Nigerians and corporate organizations. Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele, while analyzing the role of the committee members, said the fund was used to support 3 key areas, including medical facilities and equipment, while 39 isolation centers were fully equipped across the country to the tune of 4 billion naira. 9 billion naira, according to him, was expended on PCR test kits.
As a result, the Bankers Committee and critical stakeholders in the private sector, under the auspices of the COVID Alliance, held a series of meetings towards developing measures that will support government's efforts in rebuilding confidence in our nation's economy.
On the food relief program, the sum of 28 billion naira was spent to procure COVID palliative in the form of food items to 1.7 million households, equivalent to 8 million Nigerians.
Look at it today. You imagine if we had gone out to buy food items worth of 28.7 billion. Actually, prices would have doubled. So we did not really distort prices in the market.
Members of the committee, while reacting to the aftermath of the NSAS protest, concluded that commercial banks are to extend relief materials through concessionary loans to affected businesses and firms.
And I just want to pledge and urge all people, young people who have those degrees, to reach out to their respective banks to try and see how they can get funding.
In addressing youth restiveness, COVID pledged to provide technical and vocational education to more than 4 million youths in the next 5 years. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
And that's it from here. Let's now take a break. Network News continues shortly.
This is my time.
You are not going to avoid it.
This time is precious. Don't let mosquitoes spoil the fun. Relax and enjoy the moments that matter. Use Baygon fast-acting insect-killing protection for your home. Baygon, take back your home. S.C. Johnson, a family company.
There are no small beginnings, only stepping stones to bigger things. That's our philosophy at Premium Pension. And so, no matter the size of your money, our team of expert fund managers invested wisely and actively to make sure your money is always working as hard as you do. After all, the things we're building today can help shape your future in the long run. And with the right partner by your side, the one thing you're sure to do is soar. Premium Pension. Active today, premium tomorrow.
Liverpool are unstoppable at home, but will they carry that form on the road against the Seagulls of Brighton? This Saturday, it's Brighton versus Liverpool on the Premier League Live, showing on the NTA network from 1 p.m.
The Premier League Live is brought to you by Access Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton Tea, and Close Up.
This is NTA Network News, and we are back in Abuja. The federal government has reiterated its determination to use international cooperation to stop the illicit exportation and importation of cultural goods. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed stated this while receiving an Ife terracotta antique from the Kingdom of Netherlands in Abuja. Anthony Forson reports.
The Ife terracotta was stolen from Nigeria. The smuggler had an escape route through Ghana and found its way to the Netherlands. It was at the Schiphol airport that the Dutch customs, upon suspecting that the object might be illicitly imported, alerted the Antiquity Protection Office, known as Information and Heritage Inspectorate of Netherlands. And Nigeria was invited, only to discover that the smuggler had used forged documents to ship the artifact out of the country. Lai Mohammed has severally asserted that Nigeria will work towards the return and restitution of all her cultural property, saying it is in pursuance of President Muhammadu Buhari's resolve that the country taps into tourism and other fields. Nigeria has comparative advantage to generate revenue.
Today's event marks a new beginning. Our antiquities must work for our progress. Apart from the pecuniary benefits, these priceless objects wrought by our forebears are unifying factors. It is heartwarming to know that the leadership of the National Commission for Museums and Monuments is showing renewed efforts at repatriation.
The minister expressed gratitude to his foreign affairs counterpart for his role in successfully repatriating the artifact, just as he also expressed gratitude to the government of Netherlands.
I'm even more delighted that our efforts are pursuing the return of Nigerian antiquities, which we launched last November, have started yielding fruits.
So it's in this context that we'd like to express our profound gratitude to the government of the Netherlands for the very efficient and expeditious manner in which they deployed resources to identify, to retrieve, and to repatriate this cultural heritage to Nigeria.
UNESCO Convention basically exhorts all its state parties, such as Nigeria and the Netherlands, to protect and return illegally exported cultural heritage. It's also fitting that we returned this beautiful statue to Nigeria this year when we celebrate the 50th birthday of this UNESCO Convention for the Protection of Cultural Heritage.
The terracotta Antiquity has been handed over to the Director General, National Commission for Museums and Monuments. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
The Buhari-led administration says it will continue to transform socio-economic status of communities through the provision of reliable and sustainable energy. The Managing Director of Rural Electrification Agency, Ahmad stated this at the inauguration of Grid Extension Electrification Project in Osun State. Femi Afariogun reports.
Ajijola Anobi community, one of the many rural communities in Ede, Osun State, enjoys good road network, but for many years suffered epileptic power supply.
So sometimes we may have light, but before getting to, let's say, 10 to 15 minutes, it will be off again.
The intervention of Rural Electrification Agency by providing 300 kVA transformer, 2 high-tension poles and 10 low-tension poles under Grid Extension Electrification Project has changed the narrative of the community positively.
The ultimate goal is for community members to make the best use of the infrastructure. I therefore urge the people of this community to explore all possibilities to impact their lives and improve their sources of livelihood.
We are really enjoying it. Even before, after of today, we are happy.
Similar projects are being inaugurated across the country. From Ede, Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates former military governor of Kano State and Nigeria's High Commissioner to Zimbabwe, retired Colonel Sani Bello, on his 70th birthday. President Buhari joins family members, friends and associates of the retired military officer in celebrating the milestone, signposted with a long meritorious service in the army, thereby playing a pivotal role in the development of the country. In a statement, the president congratulates Colonel Bello for his entrepreneurial initiative, which has created career opportunities for many young Nigerians and skills that have been acquired in oil and gas construction and telecommunications. The Federal Road Safety Corps is not deterred by the wanton destruction of its property by the NSAS protesters. The Corps Marshal, Dr. Boboye Oyemi, buttressed this while on assessment visit to Delta. Telma Eliogo reports.
Dr. Boboye, who is on assessment tour of affected commands across the South and Southeast region, says rather than being discouraged by the attacks on FRSC by the NSAS protesters, the Corps will double efforts in ensuring the safety of lives and property on the highways. He encouraged his men to gear up for better service delivery to the masses.
We continue to do our work. We are back on the road already. And for this corridor, because of the end of the year, traffic has already picked up much earlier than expected. So we have deployed to the maximum capacity the personnel now.
Thanking the Delta State government for the promise to assist in rebuilding the destroyed property, the FRSC boss says compensation may be given to those whose vehicles were burnt within their office. 27 FRSC petrol vehicles were completely destroyed, while 14 were vandalized across the country. In Asaba, Thelma Eliog, NTA News.
Our report reaching us now indicates that a new date has been fixed for National Sports Festival, January 3rd to 17th, subject to adherence to COVID-19 protocol. The decision was arrived at after a virtual meeting between PTF, NCDC and Minister of Youth and Sports, Sunday Diary. Yodeji Makinde reports that the minister had earlier reassured on the festival.
Minister of Youth and Sports Development Sunday Diary says the National Sports Festival has not been postponed indefinitely, but assures stakeholders are brainstorming with the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 before the fiesta is held in Edo State.
We're just trying to decide on the date that makes sure that both our athletes and the conditions put in place can be met and fulfilled.
Meanwhile, a convergence of administrators and experts have called for improved welfare for athletes and infrastructure management at a colloquium to mark the 2020 FCT Swan Week in Abuja with the theme, New Sports Policy, Emerging Opportunities for the Sporting Media in a Changing World.
A lot of these players were discovered during the National Youth Games. Today, they are now beginning to be champions in their clubs.
In basketball, Nigeria's D Tigers secured a 76-56 points victory over South Sudan in their first game in Group D of 2021 Men's Afro-Basket qualifiers ongoing in Kigali. Caleb Agada led the team with 16 points as Nigeria next play hosts Rwanda on Saturday before taking on Mali on Sunday. Tributes have continued to pour in for football legend Diego Maradona, who died of cardiac arrest at the age of 60 Wednesday evening. Leading the global tributes to the late Argentine great is another legend, Pelé, who hopes to play football together in the sky with Maradona. Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, sports clubs, national associations, regional confederations have joined thousands who are mourning after his remains arrived at the presidential palace in Buenos Aires, Argentina. With sports update, Ayodeji, Makinde, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari joins the academia home and abroad in mourning the passing of a renowned scholar, writer and publisher Dr. Peter EKEH, whose research and publications on African politics and history continue to provoke new insights on issues that shape development. President Buhari sends condolences to family members, friends and professional colleagues of the scholar who contributed to educational development in Nigeria and Africa. The president says the University of Buffalo's African American Studies professor will be remembered for the courage and forthrightness he displayed in championing African cause through diligent research, writing and public speaking in conferences across the world. He prays that the Almighty God will grant Dr. EKEH's soul peaceful rest and comfort his family. Now let's quickly check on the weather.
Have you join us? We observe some moisture-laden winds reaching up to some parts of the central region, and this should keep this region in mostly sunny condition with a few clouds here and there. The north is still expected to be dry, sunny and hazy throughout the forecast period. And for places where we expect weather activities are over the coastal part of the country, where Yenogua, Port Harcourt, Calabar and EKEH should see a few thunderstorms, and later in the afternoon into evening hours, we expect the coastal belt to still be busy with some thunderstorms activities. I leave you with the temperature forecast. I am Akami Samarda. Thanks for watching.
And that's the news. We do appreciate your company. My name is Joseph Johnson. Remember to be a star. Stand with NTA against rape and rapists. Good night.